Hello folks, well let me tell you why I swapped from woodwork, like building this gypsy wagon for a trip I did, and I built this when I was either 72 or 73 and took a trip all the way to Adelaide in this gypsy wagon. But we were selling a house and I didn't have time to finish it, so I had to finish it as I was moving along the coast in Australia, and I took just battery operated tools with me. I had solar and electricity inside from the solar. Wonderful experience. So I'm not telling fibs. This is part of Gypsy, the inside of it being put together when I was building it. This was my very first trip out here, where I just went away for a weekend and tested all the lights. So I left from here in Brisbane and came all the way around the coast road and took 5 months to get to Adelaide because there was just so much to see. And even though when you're travelling around Australia, you see lots of these things and go on lots of the trips as you're travelling, I just wanted to revisit those things. But woodworking became too hard for me, and I didn't recognize how hard it was being an older person until I built Gypsy. And so giving up woodwork was heartbreaking, and I was looking for a new craft instead of building things out of timber. So first I tried resin work, did not like the smell, and did not like that it was mainly in molds. I wanted to create things with my fingers. And then the next thing I tried was air dried clay, because previously I'd been to pottery school and could make great things out of clay. But I didn't particularly like the end results of clay that isn't fired. So from there, I went to cement, but not doing or participating in any cement projects since I was a very young girl. Trying to bring all the memories back from my unconscious mind or my subconscious mind into my conscious mind, I decided to watch YouTube videos. And I kept doing that every day for about 3 or 4 hours, writing down notes, but there were lots of alarm bells going off. And one of my trades, I had a beauty school for 55 years, but one of my passions and loves is aromatherapy. And when you study clinical aromatherapy, as I did, you understand how one chemical or putting too much of an oil with another oil can cause adverse chemical reactions inside our 40 trillion cells inside our body. So lots of those YouTube videos created alarms for me. One of the main ones was watching people put flour and watching people cook flour and glue together, etc., and then adding it to their concrete. Another alarm bell was watching people sprinkle concrete over the top of rag that they'd already dipped into a cement and water base and put it over things to make shapes and then sprinkle it with cement. And another one was mixing drywall compound in with the cement. So I knew that I needed to do a lot more research before I started creating things again with cement. So I've spent probably 18 months researching in total before and sure, I was making things and testing them as I was going. But I thought, just so you know, that I've put a lot of thought into a little beginner's book that I've written. It's important to know how much thought I put into that, and so that you can trust the types of recipes that I have put into that book. This business of making videos, my camera's over there and my screen's over here, so if sometimes I'm looking away and not looking at you, you'll understand what's happening here. So in my book, I wanted to, first of all, address beginners, because you can make money from these concrete statues. And sculpting is far more enjoyable than just pouring molds. Pouring molds and lots of them, sure, you can make maybe a fair bit of money, but you'll make more money from personalizing everything and giving things more detail. And sure, you can't give concrete statues the same sort of detail as what you could with a clay or a brass statue, but there are ways that you can give things wonderful detail. So here we have a little bird with some detailed wings. That was one mix that I tried, and I'm reasonably happy with that. And all the details about that are in the book that I wrote. But the first thing is the importance of armatures. And when you're covering an armature, the thing I noticed on YouTube was people were making the alfoil armatures. We didn't have alfoil or tin foil or aluminum foil cheaply in supermarkets the way you do today. So that was kind of a new concept to me, and I needed to know why people were doing it, because concrete and cement and foil, aluminum foil, don't like each other. So one eats the other out. I'll just see if I can show you in the next photo. So here. So this was an ornament that I purchased about 3 or 4 years ago, and within 2 years it all started to break away. Well, you can see that the cement layer is way too thin, and it looks like they might have used a fiberglass, or those you see some people on YouTube using them, the plaster bandages. Plaster and cement don't like each other either. And it is okay to use foil. It is okay to use the plaster bandages. But what you've got to understand is, and it is okay to put some flour in your mix to make it more malleable, but it's the quantity of flour. It's only 1%. And we'll talk more about that later. So here, looking at this, if you have a look at how thin the cement is, it wasn't thick enough so that when the cement and the armature products, be they a gypsum based or a flour based or aluminium foil based, they're going to eat away at each other. Not so much eat at the concrete, but if the concrete is too thin, as all this chemical reactions happening inside, it's going to split, as you see here in this photo. So the most important thing is that when you're covering the aluminium foil, you need to make sure that you cover it with at least ½ inch. So say that's the item, and it needs to be completely encased in cement, at least ½ inch, or 4 to 10, preferably 12 millimeters thick. Once the case is formed and the cement goes through its drying period, that drying period should be taking around 21 days, depending on where you live, of course. And I'll explain more about that in my book, about your drying times and testing things. And the most important thing with this beginner's book is I have only given you small projects. In the book that I'm going to write in 2025, it'll be more about bigger, more artistic pieces made from concrete. And the reason I love concrete is it lasts and lasts and lasts, providing that you give people a little instruction leaflet on how to clean it and care for it. It can last almost forever. Sure, forever is like a piece of string, I know, but there will be things they can do, and you can give them a little leaflet if you're going to sell the products on how to do that. So for instance, this is a typical page in a book where if you're going to want to make a turtle, I tell you about the different types of turtles, such as there's land turtles and sea turtles, and then you can decide what type of turtle you want to make. The land turtles actually have legs that are more like thick walking style legs, and they have a much higher shell. The sea turtles have a lower shell, and they have flippers. Gnomes. There are many different ways to make gnomes. I always call them genomes. That's the way it's spelled, isn't it? And different things you can do, like add little cement words on the bottom of them. Every page in this book is going to guide you through armature, the cement mix, extra things you can do, and how to do it. And these are proven recipes that are going to make your statue making last a long time. And sure, in the book I explain a little bit about pouring into molds. I use molds for my words, or alphabet molds to make other unusual words rather than buy lots of molds. But you have to replace those molds all the time, and it's no fun. Once you learn to sculpt, it's quicker, easier, and you actually make more money from things because they're unique, and you can give them a limited edition number. So over here you can see that this is my book, the cover of my book. The book can be purchased as an ebook or in full color. The full color will have the fact that it is full color on the front cover, which is more expensive, especially in Australia, to purchase because of the printing costs. And you can also purchase it in black and white. You probably only need it in black and white. It'll explain the differences in chicken wire when you're making your sculptures, armatures out of chicken wire. It's going to explain everything to you, but more importantly, pay attention to the do's and the don't section and the cardinal rules, the things you should never do when making concrete sculptures. I think you'll get great benefits out of the book. I'm praying you do. And listen, nobody knows what they don't know. So if you know something I don't know, please tell me. Please like this video because it helps other people find the video. And if you think that what I have to say may help someone else make a living, there's lots of people who've lost their jobs for various reasons, or they're aging like me and looking for a new craft. I used to build houses and gypsy wagons and all sorts of big things out of timber. Loved it. Built my first 3 houses myself with my children, cleared blocks of land with my children. And now I want smaller crafts, but I want the crafts to last. And if you've got integrity, don't do what those other people did and put thin slivers of cement. They probably didn't know the mistake they were making. I'm not condemning them. I'm just pointing out the do's and the don'ts throughout my book called, close that, called Cement Art. No, Garden Art. Cement Sculpting, the do's and the don'ts, and all the do's and the don'ts are in this book. Just buy the black and white or the email copy. But today, please give me a thumbs up. Bye now. Enjoy.